Hello, welcome back to the Waffle Press Movie Podcast. I'm your host, Diego Crespo, and I have another Audiences Everywhere cohort with me this week. Sean, how are you doing?
I'm good. Um, Not too
Yeah.
bad. Pretty good weekend.
Okay, good, good. This is a different Sean. This is not Sean Fallon. This is Sean K. Cureton. Am I pronouncing that right?
Yep.
Okay, great. And you happen to write for other places besides Audiences Everywhere. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourselves and why you like writing about movies and where people can find you?
I have my own blog right now at seankcureton.wordpress.com, and I also write for Screen Rant as a news writer.
All right, great. And this month, Waffle Press, I'm doing a science themed movie month, hardcore science fiction. And every month I'm trying to bring it back. I did it for May with action movies, and then I closed off with a big discussion on Fury Road. Really quick, what are your thoughts on Fury Road? Because that's kind of science fiction-y.
Yeah, I really loved it. I thought it was amazing. I have nothing bad to say about that movie. Just
Yeah,
really, really loved it.
yeah. That's like the reaction I get from everyone. I don't know why I keep asking that, but
Yeah,
I like talking about
there
it.
has to be someone who didn't like it, but I can't imagine who that would be.
And I think they're kind of scared to speak up right now, and I think
Yeah,
I would be too if I didn't like it.
yeah, you would have to, I guess, wait a year before you said anything bad about it.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. All right, but we're not here to talk about Mad Max Fury Road. I asked, well, how it works for the usual themed month is I'll ask a guest to come onto the show and I'll ask them to recommend a movie, and then we'll all watch it, and then we'll talk about it. And you chose Silent Running,
Right?
a 1970s eco or environmental science fiction film, and I had never even heard of this movie before,
Mhm.
and I'm both glad I didn't, and then glad I was able to find it now at the age that I am because I feel like I understand film much better. And I think this movie would have bored the hell out of me like 10 years ago.
Right, yeah.
Now, I don't know if I'm head over heels in love with it, but I really want to watch it again too. Like I liked it. I very much liked it. But it's got some really good filmmaking stuff in there. I believe the production designer is the same one from 2001: Space Odyssey.
Yeah, it's a
And
same cinematographer, Douglas Trumbull.
yeah,
He
you can
directed,
tell this
I
guy.
think he wrote it. I'm not sure. But yeah, I think it's definitely one of those really weird 1970s sci-fi movies. I wouldn't have heard of it either, really, if it weren't for someone else that I listened to, Mark Kermode at BBC Three.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. He mentions it's one of his. He prefers it to 2001 actually, if I
Right, yeah.
correct.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think he recently did a screening of that in London.
Wow. I would love to watch this movie on the big screen, but
Yeah.
really quick before I give my full thoughts of it, I guess like a mini review. Why did you choose this movie to talk about?
Just because I think it's one of those underappreciated, not as well known as something like 2001 or Blade Runner or Alien. And I kind of like it just for being so earnest and sincere about what it attempts to do. And I think the way that it goes about telling the story is very kind of heartbreaking and tragic. And it's just something that you can't really look away from. And I remember when I first watched it, I came away just feeling, wow, I really, really liked that just because it was so different from anything else I had seen.
Yeah, and for the most part, it's a one man show. I mean,
Right. Yeah, it's just Bruce Dern alone with the two robots, Huey and Dewey. Is,
yeah,
is that right?
yeah. Huey, Dewey, Louie is the one who gets spaced. I
Yeah.
guess spoiler heavy stuff because this is a movie from 1970s, so
Right. So this
spoilers
is
don't matter.
it or probably haven't, but 1970s. So I think
Yeah, the time period for spoilers is over. I think a year is good enough for
yeah,
movies to
exactly. Yeah.
yeah. People get crazy about that stuff. But no, I really really did like this movie, and the ending, while tragic, is also very beautiful, and I think that's a good summation of the whole movie.
Hmm.
Like it's very melancholy. I like movies that get a little melancholy sometimes. Maybe I'm just a
Right.
sad person deep down. But there's the glimmers of hope, and I do have one issue with it right now. Maybe this will I'll have a better understanding of it as my viewings repeat or expand. I know we're supposed to root for him, the Bruce Dern character. It's hard when he kills his uh, companions, even though they're assholes. They're kind of assholes to him.
Yeah.
I don't know if they deserve to die.
Yeah, I think that's the sort of the biggest question. He's kind of Travis Bickle in that he's kind of so solipsistic. He doesn't really see the value of human life at a certain point, and I think it sort of horrifies him when he first kills the first guy he kills. I think
Oh yeah.
he's kind of surprised that he did it, and then he just keeps doing it because that seems to be the only way that he thinks he can get away with it.
Yeah, and I think the rest of the movie supports that argument too. That he loves the environment and nature,
Hmm.
but he kind of is disconnected from a normal human reality. You know, like
Right.
he doesn't, or maybe he does care about people. He's just not as into it as the environment. And I think in a totally different movie, this guy could be a really good tragic eco terrorist. Like if you rewrite it a certain way, but as it stands here, he's a very maybe not totally endearing to me, but he's a character that I do find myself rooting for, even if that first bit did throw me off a little bit. I did want him to succeed in escaping with the plants, the dome,
Hmm.
or the final dome, and the concept, from my understanding, also influenced a lot of modern science fiction, and just for a while, I think Wall-E's heavily influenced by this. Like even
Yeah.
before I looked up
Right.
what this movie had to offer and influence wise, I was like, oh, so Wall-E just totally like aped a lot of this plot from the
Hmm.
get go.
Yeah, I think you can kind of see the trajectory of it through Contact, which I think was 92, 94, with Jodie Foster and Matthew McConaughey. And then up till last year with Interstellar. I think there are undertones in that movie too that have their source in Silent Running.
Yeah, and I still need to watch Interstellar.
Yeah.
It's I don't know how it happened. It was my most anticipated of 2014, and I just never watched it. So
Yeah.
everyone keeps telling me that. But yeah, even from the trailer, if I was aware of Silent Running before I saw Interstellar trailers, and then I saw the Interstellar trailer, I'd be like, oh, so it's like Silent Running. The Earth is kaput with
Yeah.
nature and such. Like, it's I don't know if this is the first movie to really tackle that subject, but I think it's one of the most important and obviously influential. We just talked about a couple. And yeah, I like that you chose it, because I'm
Yeah.
really glad I watched this movie, and I want more people to watch it.
No, that's
It's
awesome.
not like heavy-handed or anything either. It's just like a solid, well-told story about the environment and man's relationship to nature, and this weird, twisted kind of humanity that the Bruce Dern character finds himself struggling with.
Right. Yeah. No, I really love just the sequences of him trying to teach the robots how to play cards, because I think that at the end of the day, he's this very, he likes to be alone, I think. Um, but what he realizes is that you need other people. I think that's why he tries to have the robots play cards with him, but that doesn't really work. And I think that's why he ends up kind of drinking too much and being as miserable as I think he is at the end of the movie.
Yeah, that's a good notion. Like, yeah, the movie just it does. I have issues with the stuff I mentioned earlier on, but it's not like detrimental to my enjoyment of the film, and
Yeah.
the film does capitalize on that issue. So it's not really an issue. It's just it threw me off at first. I guess it caught me off guard, and the way the movie layers that narrative of the character, and how, yeah, people aren't always the best. There's not always good in people, and you might get irritated by them, but at the end of the day, you'd prefer to be with people than nothing. I mean, obviously, environment and such is important too, and the movie takes track of both of those and how it ends with I believe it's Huey,
Hmm.
or Huey who ends with taking care of the dome.
The entire dome, yeah.
Yeah, and at the end of space, and I don't know, something about that so sweet to me.
Mhm.
Like, it's
Yeah.
very self-aware.
Yeah,
Uh,
and like you were saying before, it sort of that's where Wally picks up, is the little robot taking care of an entire planet.
that'd be an interesting double feature. Now that I think about it, I'd
Yeah, it
watch
would
that.
be. Yeah. I haven't seen Wally either in such a long time. Um,
Yeah.
and that's another movie that I'm sort of ambivalent about, I guess. But
Why do you say that?
I just remember seeing it the first time and not being overjoyed with it. Like just for Disney and Pixar in general, I haven't really liked one as much as I have since. Uh, well, before that, it was probably Toy Story 3, and then Inside Out this summer I really liked. And
Oh
then
yeah.
the first time I'd really liked a Pixar movie again.
Oh, that's
To go
interesting.
back to Wall-E, I think it's. I guess I hadn't really thought about it, but that's the connections between Silent Running and Wall-E are pretty strong.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I would say definitely check out Wally again because that's one that grew on me a lot over time. Like I liked it at first, and then like now it's top tier Pixar for me. But obviously, Inside Out, wow. Silent Running though, let's uh let's go back to that for a little bit.
Yep.
In terms of science fiction, we talk about the influential sides of stuff already. What do you think of the chances of seeing another movie like this? In terms of sci-fi, because I don't think the budget was very high on this movie, was it? Maybe I
I
misread.
can't imagine it would have been because it's largely just the one set, right?
Yeah, it's like a
Couple of
couple hallways
yeah,
and the dome.
right.
That's it. I can't find the budget, but yeah, I don't think it was that
Yeah, I
drastic.
can't imagine it would have been that much. Uh, but just based on how well this movie did, which I don't know a whole lot about, but just because it's kind of a cult classic, quote unquote, not heavily talked about science fiction movie, I would be interested to see if anyone would want to do a movie like this again. And I guess Moon is sort of like it, which is something I haven't seen yet. I don't know if you've seen it, and maybe you
I
could.
have. I am a big fan of Moon. I actually prefer it to Source Code,
Hmm.
Duncan follow-up project, and then it's what made me hopeful for the first video game movie, or the first video game movie that has potential to be good in Warcraft.
Hmm.
But Moon is I think I prefer Moon to this, and that's not a perfect little movie either, but it's solid, well told story, and uh, it's pretty much a one man show. Also,
Right.
it's yeah, the Moon very very heavily influenced from the structures of some of the buildings and the hallways. This is yeah, like looking back at my science fiction catalog of movies, I see a lot of influence from 2001: Space Odyssey, Star Wars, and now Silent Running. It's like those are the three that I think have to do with every movie now ever, and maybe Blade Runner to an extent. Um, yeah, I'd love to see more little science fiction movies like this. I think people see sci-fi and uh, they picture action or horror a lot. Uh, I think that's why I love Spike Jonze's Her so much. It's a very personal story in a
Hmm.
science fictiony world, but that's like light science fiction. This is full on space, like forests and jungles and space.
Exactly. Yeah.
I like movies that do something different and get a little weird with themselves. So yeah, I really hope we start seeing more stuff like this. I thought Neil Blomkamp maybe might have been the guy to do that.
Yeah, now it looks like he's just going to do bigger and bigger projects, and who knows how that's going to turn out for him. I'm
Uh,
rooting for him, but
yeah, I'm rooting for him to surprise me again too, but that's a whole other topic.
yeah.
I've got some issues with that. Uh, but yeah, I mean, on the topic of that, I'll just ask really quick. Do you think there are any other science fiction movies in recent memory that kind of follow the footsteps of Moon for small scale original science fiction with big ideas?
No, not as much as there has been with horror, with It Follows and The Babadook. Um, I think that there should be more science fiction movies that maybe take the independent route of going very small but interesting ideas, because I think that's one of the biggest features of Silent Running that makes it work so well is it has this very simple idea and it just runs it through to its logical conclusion.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest horror guy, but I got to give credits where credits due. That genre has been crushing it with the smaller independent stuff. Babadook, fantastic. Maybe my favorite horror movie in like a decade, uh, at least since The Descent. And then I have not seen It Follows yet, but I did just watch The Guest, which is sort of horror-ish, like more thriller.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a fan of that one too. So yeah, I definitely want to see more original science fiction concepts. Is there anything else you want to touch on with Silent Runnings?
No, I think we've hit everything for that one
Okay.
that I've got.
All right, great. I'm going to implement something new that I've been trying out here. It's a quick rapid fire session of 3 questions relating to the topic at hand. So just prep yourself. I didn't tell you before because I kind of wanted to just try it out,
Right,
and
okay.
I want people to go in with like fresh mind without having any prep time. So just off the top of your head, just want to answer these questions. Let me just pull them up really quick. Okay, if you could put any movie character in the position of Bruce Dern in Silent Running, what character would it be?
Han Solo.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Okay. In the original script for Silent Running, um, the Bruce Dern character is supposed to be an older man, and uh, instead of caring about the environment, he only cares about it to sustain his own living. I don't know if you're familiar with that script.
No.
Okay, well, and I'll just continue that so you have some context for the question.
Okay.
And in the original scripts, he still has the droids,
Hmm.
and he does send one off to go meet the aliens, and then there's a team of company men who come on board to get him to destroy the crops and kill him for mutiny, basically. Now, in the finale of the script, the droid meets the aliens, and he holds up a picture of Huey, Dewey, Louie, and the Bruce Dern character. What movie aliens does Huey meet? This is like a plug-in, like any movie alien that's been a thing. It's
Okay.
from a franchise or anything. Yeah.
The little worm guys from Men in Black. I think that would be fun.
Okay, that's good. Okay, and then this is a smaller scale one. Uh, Everyone knows there are great like evil movie corporation villains. Like throughout the history of cinema, there's just a bunch. What organization does the Bruce Dern character work for?
Wayland Utani.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, okay, good. You're a man after my own heart. Love the Alien
Yep.
franchise. Okay, that pretty much wraps it up for us here then. If you wanted to let everyone know where they can find you.
Just on seankcureton.wordpress.com. Audiences everywhere and Screen Rant.
Okay, do you want to plug your Twitter?
It's at Sean K. Cureton.
All right, great. Oh, that's an easy one. I always have to change my name and different things. Okay, and guys, you can follow the Awful Press on YouTube. If you like this video, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Tell your friends about us. Tell your mom and grandma, kids, dog, cat, fish. You can get me on Twitter at Dago Waffles, DEGGO Waffles. On Facebook, all that jazz. And I too write Audience Everywhere and a bunch of other podcasts we got coming out along here. Fun stuff if you're into that. That's it for us here. So we have been the Waffle Press Podcast. Thank you again for joining me, Sean.
Yep, no problem.
And
it was fun.
We have been professionally unprofessional.